Hey guys, so today I wanted to do sort of a community reaction style video here. There's not much going on in the game, and I think that's, number one, to be expected. Number two, this will probably go on until the anniversary actually begins. On the 27th, I believe, is when it actually is officially now beginning, now that we know the announcement, right? So we have about 2 weeks of a bit of a dead period here, but that's usually how it goes before a big celebration like Anniversary Legends Festival. So I made a poll on my community tab here for you guys to vote on, and the question was centered around you guys' feelings about Ultra characters. So my question was, how do you guys currently feel about summonable Ultra characters? And then I said, feel free to let me know more in depth in the comments. So I gave a pretty broad spectrum of answers, just going from basically 1 to 10, how much do you like them? There's only 5 spots because I think that's the maximum amount of choices that YouTube allows. So number 1 was I absolutely love them, which unfortunately is the lowest, and only 6% of people that responded answered that one. Then we have I like them, which is 14%, so sort of on the lower end, I guess. I'm indifferent was at 14%, and then overwhelmingly the majority said I'm not the biggest fan of them at 46%, and I absolutely hate them was at 21%. So unfortunately, this is not a very good result in terms of the community's feelings regarding Ultra characters, because the 2 negative choices are the 2 that were chosen the most. So I'm not really sure that's a good outcome for the overall feeling about Ultra characters, but there's obviously multiple aspects of how people view these characters. Number 1, you're viewing them through the lens of somebody who's playing PvP, and maybe you're not really the biggest fan of how they're balanced. But then there's also the lens of them being aesthetically cool collectibles, right? So the art is really cool. The animations, the sort of ink brush intro animations are really cool with them. So I think we're going to see a bunch of different takes in the comments here, and I'll react to the comments, and that's going to be the premise behind this video here. Is I'll look at the comments and I'll give my thoughts on what I'm seeing here. Okay, so before we go into the comments here, so I'm just going to go in order of how YouTube is displaying them. I think it's via popularity, but we'll sort of scroll through this. Not gonna believe every comment. There's 640 of them, so we're not even gonna get through like 5% of these. So just telling you guys this right now. But I will give a preemptive thought on the entire, I guess, circumstance surrounding Ultra characters right now. So I did my top 10 best units in the game list. Obviously, it's meta reliant, so the top 10 units are going to be changing depending on how the meta is. It's not always okay, this unit's always better than the rest of the game or whatever, right? As it stands right now, I would say very confidently, at least from my perspective, that I think the top 4 characters in the game are pretty set in stone for me, and they are 4 Ultra characters, 4 summonable Ultra characters. So what that tells me, and based off of that conclusion, I can then further conclude that they are intentionally tuning these Ultra characters, these summonable Ultra characters, to intentionally be stronger than every other characters in the game, all the other types of characters in the game, right? So they want summonable Ultras to be the pinnacle of the game. That is my takeaway from how they've designed these summonable Ultra characters, right? Even more so than LF characters. But then the flip side to that is they make the banners a lot worse, and they make them a lot harder to pull, and they just make them a lot harder to get, right? They limit the team building slightly with the Ultra ability, so there's a bunch of different hurdles that they put into the game to sort of try and limit how strong these characters are and how easy it is to build teams around them. I don't think they did a very good job of it, but that is the current situation when it comes to Ultra characters in the meta environment. So let's quickly go through these comments. I'll try and get through as many as possible, but I probably, depending on what people are saying, might stop here and there to just discuss. But so with the first comment here, when it comes to Ultras, they need to start putting them together in an Ultra banner. We have enough summonable Ultras to make it happen. Yes, this is something that I've been saying for a bit now, right? So once we got Ultra Super, or not Super Gogeta, Ultra Gogeta Blue, let me actually pull up the list here. So if we go to Ultra here, we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 summonable Ultras now. So up until this point, I'm recording this video on May 12th. We have not yet seen a banner that actually has multiple summonable Ultras on the banner yet. Each Ultra character has still only had their own banners. So even when Super Gogeta returns, for example, or when Blue Kaioken Goku returns, which is banner just returned, they're coming back on a banner, and then they're the only summonable Ultra on that banner. So I agree with this comment, and I think I've seen a lot of people that are sort of misunderstanding what I'm talking about when I say that they need to include multiple summonable ultras on a banner. So if you pull up the banner, like let's just pull up Kid Boo's Ultra banner, right? So Kid Boo is the newest summonable Ultra character, Ultra Rising Majin of Calamity. If we go down to the pull rates, right? So overall, every single Ultra character you can pull on this banner, overall the rate to pull an Ultra character is at 0.35%. And then the only Ultra character is Kid Boo, so he obviously has a 0.35% pull rate. So what I'm saying when I am saying that they should be putting multiple Ultras on banners, I'm not saying, you know, for example, add Super Gogeta to this banner and then split the drop rate between those characters. So then, for example, Kid Boo would get, what, a 0.17% drop rate, and then the Super Gogeta would get a 0.17% drop rate. I'm saying add Ultra Super Gogeta to this banner and then remove, like, I don't know, like, then remove Red Kid Boo or Red 18 from the banner, and then distribute that additional percentage chance to pull the characters to the new Ultra characters. So both Kid Boo and the second summonable Ultra would both have a 0.35% drop rate, which would then increase the overall drop rate of Ultras to 0.7%. That's the way they should be doing these banners, because we are now 8 summonable Ultras in, and for each of them to still have their own banner is very, very dumb, I think. We need a better and easier way for people to obtain multiple summonable Ultras, because these are the characters that are now dominating the game. And even for characters like Super Gogeta or Blue Kaioken Goku, who are now a bit older, right? I mean, they're both over a year old now, which in this game is actually... Stupidly enough, it is old enough to feel a massive... Like, you feel a massive difference between Super Gogeta and Blue Gogeta, who are a year apart, right? There's a massive difference between these two characters. But regardless, like, at least these characters can still be okay, right? And I think people would much rather pull Ultra Super Gogeta than sparking yellow Kid Gohan from, like, the second month of the game being released, right? There's a big difference there. So I think just having an easier way for people to gain access and to pull these summonable Ultras, even if they're older, is definitely good. All right, so the units themselves are great. Let me actually pull up the entire comment here. Okay, the units themselves are great. I love most of the animations as well as the card arts, and their kits definitely feel like they are in a different category compared to LFs, yes. That said, the banner formats have become stale, yep, and them being the only new summonable units on their banners make it feel like it's not worth summoning ever. Yes, that is a very good point, and that's actually a point that I often make, even just for LF banners too, right? I always tell you guys that my recommendation is to summon on LF banners because the banners have the most value, right? You're getting double Z power, you're getting double rates, and you're getting the summon coins, and you're getting all the steps. So I think when you compare the actual banner structure and the banner format of LF step-ups to Ultra Rising banners, the LF step-ups for the like 98% of the player base in this game is going to be the better decision for you to summon on in order to give yourself the best chance to pull something good. But it's like, even for those banners, a lot of times we only see like the new LF, and then we'll see like 1 or 2 new EX characters on the banner. A lot of times those banners don't even have new like side sparking characters, like a 1% sparking character. And I think that just, it makes it tough to summon on because you know there's only going to be like one character you're trying to get most of the time. We can take a look at like the LF Revival Goku banner. Right, he came out with Master Roshi, 1% sparking, and then he also had 2 EXs in the banner with Bergamo and Kale. I'm not a huge fan of either Bergamo or Kale, but the fact that he actually had a 1% sparking with Master Roshi, who's pretty competent. I mean, I don't think he's insanely good, but he has one of the strongest mechanics in the game with the Mafuba, the ceiling mechanic, and he's just a cool character. So you at least have all that additional value on that banner, and you compare that banner to like the Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Vegeta tag character that just dropped for the Majin Buu saga. They came out on their own banner. It was just them, no EXs, no other sparkings. That was the only new character that released. And even though the banner format is really good, and I still wouldn't knock anybody if they wanted to summon for that character, disregarding how good the character is, but the overall banner format on that, you know, LF step up is good. But it still feels pretty bad, I think. So this is not a problem that is just restricted to Ultras, because we have seen that be pretty annoying for LFs as well. But yes, I do agree. Ultras only being their only new character on the banner is not good. I have most LFs over 7 to 9 stars. I don't need more copies of them. If they improved on this, I wouldn't have much reason to complain personally. Just can't always justify the cost. Yes, that's fair. I think Ultra banners just overall are terrible. Really, really bad. All right, let's pull up this one. Them as a standalone release outside of metas and everything are absolutely stellar. Card animations, art style, the in-game fighting animations, and ultimates are all fantastic. Yes, I think they definitely do try and give Ultras a bit of extra aesthetic, like just because they're the most expensive characters in the game for a reason. And with them being a higher rarity, like it's not just like sparking to LF, because LFs are still sparking characters. We do not yet have, you know, like Legends limited Ultra characters, which eventually will happen, but I don't think it'll happen soon. But Ultras are an entire different class of character, right, above sparking. So I think that they are definitely putting in a little bit of extra effort when it comes to the aesthetic of Ultra characters. Aesthetics aside, the pull rates are abysmal, and their kits are so broken that they are meta-defining for the most part. They do feel like a pull them or don't play unit instead of the get them and have fun against other cool and tough units in the meta type units, which is how I felt Second Form Cell and Purple Trunks were a month ago. Yeah, I think so at this point, I think most people would agree with me that I think Second Form Cell is a lot more valuable and better than Purple Trunks. Although Purple Trunks I think is a bit underrated right now. But Second Form Cell, actually, you guys will see I am going to be uploading a God rank grind this coming week, or a few days from now. And I did end up using Second Form Cell. So that's the second God rank grind in a row I've used that character. Really, really good character. But he doesn't really feel like, oh my God, he's like, you know, defining the environment of the game. Like I have him on my top 10 list. I had him at number 9, right? So he's still exceptionally good, but he's not like shaping the way the meta is looked at, right? That's where the Ultra characters are, right? The top 4 of the game, all summonable Ultras, and those characters are pretty much setting the rules of the game. They're setting the standard for how you build your teams and which units you want to try and counter. Alrighty. They turned the counter previously released unit element of modern Dragon Ball Legends into 11, and now that they're more frequent, the meta shakeups happen literally every 5 to 6 weeks. So here's here's my hot take on this. I'm going to read the rest of the comment, but I will give my take on this. The meta shakeups happen literally every 5 to 6 weeks. My take on that is I actually do think that's a good thing. If a meta is stale for too long, now you guys will have your own personal definition of what too long is, but if a meta is stale for too long, then it becomes really boring, right? If you see the same character for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks in a row, and you know the teams are all the same and nothing's really changing and matches seem really redundant, then in my opinion, that's not fun. And so I am somebody who would prefer to have more frequent meta changes. Now, I don't think the entire game should be flipped upside down every week, right? That's not what I'm saying, but I do think, like, for example, we had Ultra Gogeta Blue, who I think was too dominant for too long, right? He came out at the end of December, and just until Kid Buu's release, which was on April 30th, I would consider him I was considering him the definitive best #1 character in the game, because he didn't really have a rival, right? There was no counter good monstrous yellow unit to really counter that unit. So he kind of went unchecked for a really long time, and the game was really starting to get stale for me and a lot of other people as well. And so I think for me, it's really hard to pick like a sweet spot. But once you get to like the 2-month mark, right? So let's just, for example, pick a character, Ultra Rose, everyone's favorite character to hate right now. It's mine for sure. When did he release? Let me actually pull up Ultra Rose's banner. When did Ultra Rose come out? It was like the middle of, I think it was March 15th. Was that when his banner came out? Let me see. I have to scroll through all, I don't know why they have all these Zenkai banners on here, but I am pretty sure that Ultra Rose came out on March 15th. Let's just assume that's when he came out, and we'll go with that. I'll give this a few more tries here. Ultra Rising, this is Super Vegito. Here's Rose. So Ultra Rose's banner, yeah, it's March 15th, that was correct. So Rose's banner came out on March 15th. We are, again, I'm currently recording this video on May 12th. So in 3 days from now, it will have hit the 2-month mark. I would say once you get to that 2-month mark of like these really powerful meta-defining units being at the top of the game, it does start to get a bit redundant, right? Like Rose is cool, even though I hate the character. Well, I don't hate the character like Goku Black, but I just don't like Ultra Rose. I don't like fighting him. I don't like using him. I don't think he was designed with having fun in mind at all. I don't think they even considered that aspect of the character when they designed it. So I really don't like Ultra Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black at all. But even not counting that, I am okay with a big ticket headlining Ultra character being the best character in the game for 2 months. Like, that's fine. But once you hit that 2-month mark, for me at least, it does really start to sort of be like, okay, you know, like when are we getting, you know, a definitive counter for this character? I would like to see this guy sort of fall off a little bit. And I said this with Gogeta as well, but I don't want to see like just those top characters just get power crept and like thrown into the trash can, right? I think the way they did it with Kid Buu is actually pretty good, because Kid Buu is not directly just a better character than Gogeta. He just is a character that is basically a targeted counter to him, and so that puts him in check in a way, right? So with Rosé, I would appreciate, now that we're 2 months after his release, maybe we head into the anniversary and there's some kind of release in there that sort of, you know, I don't want to say like shuts him down completely, but at least, you know, pressures him a bit to where he's not just an auto include in every single team pretty much, right? So that would be good. So in terms of this comment, the meta shakeups happen literally every 5 to 6 weeks. I would say like 7 to 8 weeks. I would expect there to be some kind of, you know, not like mega shift, but like a significant shift in the meta. That's what I would hope for as somebody who is playing this game a lot. One of the reasons I'm kind of scared of 5th anniversary is Bandai will drop another brand Ultra on day 1, designed specifically to beat Kid Buu. And then that Ultra will get countered by whoever comes out at the end of anniversary. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it that quickly, right? I think we saw this happen last year, like exactly what you're talking about with Super Vegeta, right? Super Vegeta came out in July. And then in September, right, that's when Cooler came out. And Cooler just completely, like, turned that character inside out. Like, one of the biggest targeted counters we've ever seen in this game's history is Red LF Cooler countering Ultra Super Vegeta. It was, like, not even... like, you might as well not even have summoned for the character. Like, that's how bad it was. He was completely unusable, Ultra Super Vegeta. So I to this day, I can't explain why they decided that was good to do. I can't explain it. I think it was one of the worst decisions ever. Again, I actually do consider LF Cooler to be the single worst release in the history of this game. But that's like the only time that comes to mind off the top of my head where they're like, you know, 2 months after a character comes out, we're like, all right, we're killing this character. He's done. Get him out of here. Like they've never really done that besides against Ultra Super Vegeta, who was the like money-making character, the big release of the 4th anniversary. Like, why would they do it? Makes no... It's actually illogical. Like, if you think about it, it's actually illogical to do that. Have your whole fan base and whole player base summon for a character like the most... Literally, Super Vegeta is the biggest money-making character in Dragon Ball, period. No other character will top him. And then pretty much render him useless 2 months later. Like, that's again, it doesn't make sense. But other than that, again, we haven't really seen that too often, so I'm not really too scared of that, but I guess there's always a possibility because it did happen one time. Like I said, I don't like this philosophy either, right? I think having at least one character to check like these better characters is good, but not completely, again, like tossing them into the trash so that they're never usable. All while this is going on, Zenkais continue to be team filler at best and free food for latest summonable at worst. Plus, Legends Limited markings are pushed out of viability because their kits simply can't always compete with the Ultras. So there's a lot to decipher with this message. So for Zenkais, I think them being like a significant buff for the characters on the bench, that's what their role is. I'm okay with that, right? We had our time where the Zenkais were the best characters in the game, period, and it was like, okay, like we all got really tired of it. I could maybe see them being a bit better. I think they actually did a really good job with Majin Vegeta, and I think the yellow Goku is not that bad, but the problem with the yellow Goku, the yellow Super Saiyan 2 Goku for the Buu Saga team, is his Z ability and Zenkai ability are just really bad. Like, I don't really understand why they made it like that, so I don't know. I think if they... The one criticism I have for Zenkai characters is they should be able to adjust their Z abilities when they get their Zenkai. That's the biggest thing I would say. If they could do that, then I think I'm okay with Zenkai as how they are right now. Legends Limited Sparkings are pushed out of viability because their kids simply can't always compete with the Ultras. That is true, but it's not always true. The Tag 4s, when they came out, were like the second best character in the game. Beast Gohan completely reset the entire game. Beast Gohan was 5 tiers above the rest of the game on release. Like, it wasn't even close. Vegeta and Trunks, yes, I will give it to you. When they came out, I would say they were a bit underwhelming. 17, I think, still is crazy good, right? The blue LF17, like, he's definitely a character that's going to be around for a while. Revival UI Goku, I think, was a decent release. And then we have the tag Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Vegeta, who I think are definitely a bit undertuned. I think the past two tag characters, right, with Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, and then Vegeta and Trunks, like, I feel like they're a little bit undertuned for both of those characters. I feel like maybe the reason is because they're both blast tag characters, right? They just don't know how to create blast tag units, maybe? I don't know. The developers have made a big mistake when they began releasing ultra rarity units at the current rate, whereas they should have instead been a special occasion for the anniversary and festival. The power swings are just too much, and that's not to mention how bad the banner format is. Yeah, we talked about the banner format already. In terms of the frequency of releases, I am not that big. I mean, obviously this is going to differ per person, right? Me, who 14 stars every character, is going to have a much different opinion than, you know, free-to-play John, who's only summoning once every 2 months, right? I'm not really that big of a, you know, I don't really think it's that big of a deal that they're releasing this many ultras, because the banner, like, quantity that they're releasing is not that much different than, like, the prior years, right? Yes, we're getting more ultras this year, but we're getting less, like, filler characters, or we're not getting, like, all-star banners, right? Stuff like that. We got one all-star banner, which they rebranded to Legends Mega Rising with the Cell and Trunks. So what they're doing is they're sort of getting rid, or not, they're not getting rid of it, but they're reducing the frequency that they release those, like, non-Legends Limited, non-Ultra characters. And they're giving us more of the big hype, you know, money-making units like the Ultras. So I think that's fine. Obviously, it's a lot harder for most people to pull those characters, but this is actually why, if you guys have seen my Twitter, I have been vocal about this pretty much since the start of the year. I think when Ultra hit release, I was like, okay, you know, it looks like they're increasing the rate of Ultra releases, but if they're going to do this, then they need to give us more crystals, which I definitely still think is true. They need to give us more CC, or at least ways to earn more CC if they're going to continue increasing the frequency like this. Wow, we're already 21 minutes into this. Okay. My biggest issue is just how terrible the drop rates are. Yep, I agree. And the fact that their banners tend to not have anything but them on them that are useful. Yeah, so this, like, we could take a look at the Kid Buu banner again. Let me scroll up to it. This Kid Buu banner is like a prime example of why you should definitely not be summoning on these banners if you're like a free-to-play player or a light spending player. So we have Ultra Kid Buu. I think he's top 3 in the game. I think it's pretty widely accepted that that's the case. Crazy unit, unbelievable, insanely strong. But then we have the other characters in the banner, right? LF Kid Buu, sure, he's usable. He can be okay still. Piccolo's a good bench to, like, Zenkai buff this character, but you're not using Piccolo. Like, Piccolo's not a usable unit right now. This guy's a really good bench character for every Saiyan team, pretty much. This guy's a really good bench character to use alongside, like, Gogeta Blue. He's literally the best bench character in the game for Ultra Gogeta Blue. And then you have Trash. The entire rest of the banner sucks, right? So you have the LFs, but the LFs aren't even good because they're usable. They're good because they're good bench units. So, like, the only characters you're really going to be using right now are the pretty much the 2 Kid Buus. And I don't really see many people running LF Kid Buu, right? You could probably use Super Vegito still, but it's not advised, right? So you're really only pulling on this banner for one character, which is why I don't like the banner format at all. Like, it's really bad. They also need some sort of pity summon where you will get the unit after X spins. You shouldn't be able to go 25 entire banner rotations and end up without the main unit. Yes, I agree. I think summon coins should be on every banner, no questions asked. Every single banner needs to have a summon coin mechanic. I don't know why they don't have it on the Legends Mega Rising banner. I think the Legends Mega Rising format is definitely way better than the Legends All-Star format was. So that's an improvement, but those banners should still have the summon coins. Ultra banners, for sure, should have summon coins on them, and then you could use the summon coins again to exchange for how you would on an LF banner or the Ultra character, right? So I definitely agree with that. I think every single banner that takes crystals to summon on should have summon coins. I think it should just be a universal thing. All right. In terms of animations, like the black ink and the movable art, I love Ultras. I agree. I think they're probably just the best art in the game. Right? They put a lot of extra work into it for a reason. For kits, I think that they should be some of the strongest units in the game for the premium rarity. Yes, I mean, that's the obvious trade-off that we mentioned. My problem with all Ultras is how bad the banners are. Yeah, so we're seeing a pretty common theme across all these comments is that, like, a lot of people are okay with the aesthetic of the Ultra characters because they put a lot of extra work into them. Some complaints about the balance, which I guess, yeah, that obviously is true. But a vast majority of people do not like ultras because of how bad the banners are. And I definitely think that is the common denominator here. If the banners were a bit more valuable or the rates were higher, I'd be fine with it. Yeah, okay. The characters as a whole, I think, are pretty good to the game and give players more choices to spend crystals on, but the ultra abilities restrictions are terrible. I agree. I could literally make like a 30-minute video just talking about ultra abilities, but I won't. And the banners need to be better so free-to-play players don't feel like they are totally wasting all their crystals for an ultra just to get 2 copies of LF Goats. And exactly, that's the main, this is literally the main reason why I never, even for Ultra Goju Blue, you guys can go back and watch my Ultra Goju Blue like banner breakdown or whatever it was. And I was telling you guys, like, this is like the top 2 or top 3 hypest release in the entire year. So there's no way I can actually tell you guys not to summon on this banner, but I will never, with the current format of how these ultra banners are, I can't in good faith recommend anybody to summon on this banner because the format's so bad. So most people, right? Most people, if you're free to play or a light spender, are going to summon on ultra banners, and you're going to end up pulling like Red Kale as your one character that you got, right? So it's just, you're better off spending on a banner where you're giving yourself a better chance to pull better stuff. So I do agree with this, yeah. And ultra abilities, I honestly wish they would just remove ultra abilities altogether. I don't understand the need for them. They are the elements I feel turn playing Legends into an extremely restrictive experience unless you dump money in it, mostly because of the horrible banners and the unreal low rates. Yeah, it's the banners, yeah. Absolutely love how they all have unique mechanics. Yes, I mean, basically every ultra has a unique gauge, right? Does every single ultra have a unique gauge? This one, yes. Yeah, they all have unique gauges. So every single ultra has a unique gauge. In terms of like just overall unique mechanics, I don't think that's something that is specific to ultras, right? We've seen a lot of non-ultra LF characters, like for example, the Goku and Vegeta that just came out with the Preparation Transcendent Kamehameha mode. We have Master Roshi with the Sealing ability. So there's a lot of unique mechanics they're implementing for, you know, pretty much all summonable characters. But I do agree that the ultras definitely feel like they have a bit of extra care put into them. We'll do a few more. We're already approaching 30 minutes here. I keep blabbering away. They are way too hard to get. Aesthetically, an ultra is amazing. The animations look so polished, and in my opinion, their special abilities add more depth to the game, and I really like that. But since I'm not a huge spender, it's extremely difficult getting an ultra, and it feels like the game is literally unplayable at higher PvP ranks. Yes, I can understand that. Without a recent one who's at least red 1 on your team. Yeah, so 8 stars. I agree. I mean, again, these are all going back to the same thing, that people just hate the fact that they're so tough to pull. I personally believe they are a really cool idea to add freshness to the game. I see them as the equivalent to LRs and Dokkan, and they have that uniqueness to them as the LRs do as well. I just feel like many others that they should really increase the rate of the characters and add multiple ultras per banner to give more chances of pulling these characters. That's just my opinion. Yes, I agree with you. I think there's 2 steps. There's 2 steps to making ultra banners better. Step 1 is you got to have multiple ultras in the same banner. And it's the way that I mentioned before, right? You have the main ultra, who's at a 0.35% rate. Just add the second ultra at like, I don't know if it'll be the same. Maybe it'll be like 0.2 or something. Maybe it won't be 0.35, but keep the main summonable ultra character that's headlining the banner, so Kid Buu, at 0.35%, and then just add like 2 other ultras to the banner and give them 0.2% rates. Like, that's step 1. Give people a chance, at least, to pull other ultras on the banner. And then so that's step 1, right? And then step 2, to make these banners better, is to just straight up increase the pull rates of the ultras. I think that is going to happen at some point. We saw it with LFs. LFs used to have a 0.25% pull rate, and then they bumped it up to 0.5%. So I think it is only a matter of time until that does happen for ultras as well. But I think that might be a bit far off from now. All right, we'll do 2 more. So we'll do these. Sorry, Dende's toes. The units themselves are fine. I just hate the banner roster. Yep, here we go. The format itself can actually be decently competitive, as shown with Super Gogeta, where they had some pretty competitive recent LS alongside with the Ultra. But with how they are right now, it's kind of bad, and also they have to update the older Ultra banners. Yeah. Honestly, they don't have to update the older Ultra banners. again, just move those older Ultra characters to the new Ultra banners and just scrap the older Ultra banners. Like, you don't have to bring back the blue Kaioken Goku banner 7 times in a row. Just move blue Kaioken Goku onto a banner with like Ultra Broly or something, and then you might as well move, like, what if we had a banner with Ultra Broly, Ultra Super Gogeta, and then Ultra Blue Kaioken? Like, they're not like crazy top tier units, but a banner with all those units on it would actually entice people to summon, at least. Not like if they just re-release the blue Kaioken Goku banner for the 9th time in a row. All right, so last comment here from Anthony. Honestly, I love everything about them, except for the fact that if you haven't pulled the last 4 Ultras and have them at high stars, that you're losing. Yep. So there we go. I think the biggest commonality between pretty much every single comment that we read here was just the fact that they have made the Ultra characters in this game way too difficult to pull. The rates are too low, and the fact that they are intentionally splitting each Ultra character onto its own banner without sort of, you know, like congealing some of them onto the same banner, which I think that's, again, going to be step 1 to making it easier and more accessible for most players to pull them, right? What if we got the new Ultra for the anniversary? You know, it's Ultra Vegito Blue, it's what everyone's expecting, but then they also throw on 2 side Ultras as well, right? That's actually what I would expect in this anniversary. Like, it's time to see that. So, you know, we have some negatives with these Ultra characters. They're too unbalanced, but there's some positives too. It's not just all negative, right? People really like the aesthetic of the character. The art is really cool. The ink brush animation is really cool. They have their own unique mechanics. So there's positives and negatives when it comes to these characters. We'll see how they handle future Ultra releases. Let me know down below what you guys think about Ultra characters in this game. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.